All right, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Superfreq, where we are decoding your reality's hidden architecture, the patterns behind behavior and becoming through frequency, form, and field. If you're new here, welcome. If you have been with me for a very long time, bless you. Happy to have you here. So today's episode is going to be all about what's your soul name, the energetic identity beneath the name you were given. You might be surprised to learn that there's a lot to it. And recently, I will share a personal story with you and also what's coming up for me as well, because we're in this work together. But essentially, you were given a name and maybe you resonate with it, maybe you don't. Maybe you never liked it and decided to rebrand like me, thanks to an ex-boyfriend circa 26 years ago. Maybe it always felt slightly off, like you were answering to somebody else's projection of you or dream. But the real question I have for you, and again, this is coming off the heels of the last, let's say, 45 to 65 days of an emergent body of information, specifically around what it means to animate your original blueprint and what it means to operate and signal through your frequency signature in singularity, which Ray Kurzweil talked a lot about technological singularity, and we're moving towards that. And this is about bridging nature and technology. And then inside of that is essentially where you create your own authentic expression. But you'd be surprised to learn that most people are not operating off of their soul signature name. So my real question for you is, did your name ever actually name you? Have you ever resonated with it? If you didn't, this episode is definitely for you. Again, I'll share a personal story and also the kind of eros of what's in a name, and it's more than you think. So not every soul, that comes here or that is kind of spoken or breathed into form through the labels that we inherit have chosen their name. So some names uphold family architecture, kind of enter John Mythos, Eros, Stamen Smith II. Other names are kind of mythic. They're more mythic in the times they were developed in or created in. And some are simply placeholders. So today we're diving into kind of the frequency beneath the form of this whole thing, the soul tone, the true name, the vibrational signature that lives beneath language and organizes your entire nervous system, your identity, and your energetic architecture. It has much more to do than just resonance. It's not titles, it's not egos, it's not rebrands. It's essentially much more divine than that. And again, I have come to learn this, so I'm sharing this with you because it's up in the field for me. And more information on that will come in the weeks that follow this episode. But so frequency over form, just going to talk about that for a second. In quantum psychosomatics, in the field work that we're doing together, your soul name isn't a word. It's a harmonic glyph or wave. I wrote about this in my book, but we all have a frequency signature that harmonizes our timelines, our patterned field, and our original memory map. Remember, we don't experience time. We experience memory that has been sequenced for us to re-experience recursion and then close these damn loops once and for all so we can remember who we are, including our soul name. It's what your body organizes around, whether or not you're conscious of it. Okay, so when people say they don't resonate with their name, or when they intuitively adopt new names, middle names, ancestral names, what they're doing is trying to close the gap between sound and self. So, for example, my given name is Natalie, which means the Christmas child. And later I adopted the nickname I got, which was Talie, which meant literally the N and the A of my name was not applicable anymore. And I ran with that throughout my entire fashion and professional career up until recently. And more to be revealed on all of that. So again, the name with the frequency signature organizes It's what your body organizes around, okay? So it's like your IP address. So your given name is going to reflect your culture, your family system, or your karmic lineage. But your true name, the name that speaks from you, not onto you, carries a kind of organizing intelligence that most people never consciously access. They just take what is given to them. That's their name. This is what's on my birth certificate. This is how I navigate the corporate system and the world around me, but they never really resonate with it. I know that I never did. I had all these different pseudonames. People assumed that I was very, like, all these different cultures, especially when I changed my hair color. So I was very, very blonde, like white blonde, for a period of time when I was working in fashion, and I wore a lot of black. So that was this contrast, very high contrast. I was very much into black and white, and I still am. I love black and white photos and the stark contrast between those things. I like light and dark. I like creating the fusion between those things. I like to hold the paradox of that and see what emerges from there in shades of gray. When I was doing photography, I was known for the black and white photography that I did, so on and so forth. But most people will operate in this dualistic kind of way of experiencing themselves. So when I was kind of more blonde, people assumed that I was Eastern European. What was really interesting about that is later I had a lot of timeline stuff to clear from Russia and beyond that had to do with that period of time. So pay attention to why you want to change your hair. Pay attention to why you want to cut your hair. Let's say a lot of you have cut your hair recently, or pay attention to wanting to go darker or change your aesthetic or move to a different location. All of those things to me mean that there is a data set that wants to come up to the field, right? It's ready to come up to the surface and be wiped out. So you might be like really in it and be projecting a lot of things onto other people around you, or receiving the projections of others because you're changing and people aren't comfortable with that. But just pay attention and start to audit and dissect a little bit, like forensically, what those patterns are. Like, why do I want to change my hair color right now? Why do I feel like I need an abrupt change? Why do I want to go to this grid line? Because all of that is instructive. So in QP fieldwork, okay, your soul name isn't fixed like a label. So in mystic traditions, your name essentially is called your ineffable name. And it's a name not spoken but remembered. It's a tone not taught per se, but felt. So those who actually are drawn to vocalization or light language, or will speak light language, or let's say there's a lot of people on YouTube right now that are singing in a certain dialect or singing in a different way, or just kind of riffing, and it has a very dreamy tone to it. You see a lot of people that are singing or playing for guitar for animals, or a lot of these things that go viral online. There's a tonality to that transcends language, and the universe responds to that. So some say that your true name can't be pronounced all the way, and I know this to be true because when I tune into the consciousness of, let's say, Jesus or Yeshua, okay, Yeshua just means the anointed one or an awakened one, but the real name of Yeshua, or the consciousness, let's say, of that Jesus tapped into, I can't even pronounce it. It's like an Arabic sound. That's the best way that I can dilute that information. But I was like, wow, that's not even like your name. Sometimes you can't even pronounce it. Others say that it's like a code you rediscover across timelines, kind of buried in poetry or deja vu, and the magnetic pull towards certain syllables or certain cultures. Like a lot of people are either usually like kind of very mysteriously connected to Egypt, or Jordan, or the Ottoman Empire, or Russia, or let's say another big portal for the auroras per se would be like Norway or Sweden, or the Aurora Borealis area, or very specific areas in South America. These are not accidents. Like, pay attention to that information. Get very curious. If you can, go there. Go to these grid lines and see what emerges. So what I found in QP fieldwork is that, again, your soul name isn't fixed, okay, like a label. It's relational. It's evolving. It's kind of a standing wave. in the oversoul's lattice of your own becoming. So as you begin to remember more and more of who you are, you start to experience yourself animated through your original blueprint. So I talk about this, that your fascia is like your quantum DNA. It has a lot of electrical memory, and then your DNA is more of like a fixed structural, it's responsive DNA. So in quantum computation, there's dynamic code and fixed code. Right now, people are moving away from a fixed code reality, right? Matrix, it's all square and Saturn run and whatever else, moving more into a dynamic code. So something that can be more responsive, that's organic, that's self-sourced, that is expansive. It's where we're all moving to, especially if you have found me and this work. We're moving towards keeping our organic, God-sourced bodies and consciousness, our frequency, form, and field, and moving it into this direction of more of a 50 awakened consciousness. We're moving into a completely different architecture. We do not want to be in fixed, non-freedom based living where it's control and fear based. We want to move towards love. And part of that is remembering who we are. So the quantum DNA is that fascia, okay? It's the intelligence of the body. And then your DNA that is studied, genomics, genome, has a certain set of sequences that are genetically influenced. So part of you operating out of that blueprint that animates your life, I talk about this a lot through the nervous system. The nervous system is what isn't all the way present. Your form is, because you're connected to the planet and she creates form. So the nervous system is what's been conditioned over time, and that is what gets basically kind of pulled up and out and brought so online that you start operating through in conjunction with your soul's blueprint. So let me say that simply. You start to become more aligned. You start to become singular, okay? Everyone starts speaking the same language. They become fluent in the same dialect. Your body, your soul, and your spirit feel comfortable being in your form. You're operating from your frequency signature, okay, that animates your blueprint, that creates the people, places, things, opportunities, okay, creates the energy that you interact with on a daily basis. So your nervous system creates possibilities, opportunities, will put people in your life, will direct you to the location that you need to go in conjunction with your spirit. Your spirit animates and moves through your nervous system. So your nervous system is holding all of this pattern information that is keeping you limited. Everything is about the depth of the nervous system, and that's brain and the electrical system of the body. So you get that under control, okay? You learn how to have more space and you regulate that shit, your life is better. Okay. And we do that through many different ways. This is why I call it quantum psychosomatics. We work at spirit level, we reorganize the pattern information, and then we pull that information through the body and recalibrate the nervous system. And this is like an oscillating figure eight type of experience. That's why I will continue to bounce from your life to self, to divinity, to femininity, okay, to nervous system wealth, to divine feminine nature, to why you're carrying certain symptoms, why your cortisol is high. Like, I will move through frequency, form, and field to help you guys all experience yourselves from a very different perspective. So you don't choose your name in a traditional sense. You attune to it, meaning your soul name, okay? And when you do, your system stabilizes. Language feels like embodiment. You stop explaining yourself because your field does the speaking. So if you've been in my groups, you've heard me talk about that all you need to do is regulate your nervous system and continue to do the frequency work. I promise, because eventually all of this will start to get faster for you. You expand, you contract, you expand, you contract, and you stabilize, and you become a signal. And your field reorganizes around you constantly that's in the highest level. So you won't even attract bullshit to you. That shit will not even enter into your field because the field and the signal is so stable, it will deflect things that aren't good for you. So if you're still running up against some victim stuff or still not getting treated well, that is all instructive data. You might have come really far in one area, and because these patterns bundle, Don't stop now. Believe me, like keep going, because when you gain enough momentum, you will break them all. You will eventually move past them all. I know because I am proof. And do not stop at enough. Keep going. Most people will do work until they get a good enough life. And when they're comfortable with their life, they will not go beyond that. And that is totally fine. Believe me, I've been doing nothing but like observing humans from all different cultures at the peak of European madness for the last week. And I can tell you right now, most people are wildly unconscious and abusing the hell out of their bodies. Other people are so curious about reading spiritual books. I see all the books in multiple languages, about wanting to get access to themselves, about following and watching the same videos, and yet not really willing to invest in themselves to continue this level of work. And you can listen to this podcast for free and change. So please continue to go. So I say all of that as a baby tangent because there is so much more than just clearing a certain pattern. Believe me, some of these things come in last. You might get certain access to yourself first, and then let's say the relationship stuff comes in, and then the money comes in last. Some of you guys have absolutely aced being able to make money in the physical, but everything else is a mess. So money for you will come in first, and then access to self will come in second, and then relationships will come in last, or you have no problem manifesting relationships, but everything else is a mess. So depending on what your soul prioritizes, that is going to humble you, okay? My soul prioritized access to self, like fully moving into my soul signature, my singularity, without question. Like consciousness architect, on and on and on and on. I have prioritized self, come hell or high water. And I tried to push against it. I tried to do all the things. I tried to get into relationships, didn't work out. Tried to make, boatloads of money, sacrificing myself. That definitely didn't work out, right? And so I just kept going and kept iterating and kept going because there was an aspect of me that knew if I didn't have access to myself, everything else would be a mess. And it's the truth. So my soul's plan, part of my blueprint here, one of the things I came here to learn was to recognize myself fully, recognize who I am, claim who I am fully. And then from that signal, everything else works out. And I had to trust that. I still have to trust that. And the more I push against that or try to fight against it because I'm, let's say, pissed off about time, I pay for it and it doesn't work. So my level of integrity with the work that I'm doing has to be at the highest level. Otherwise, it would be very not good for me, okay? And because I have a level of access and I will never use it to abuse anybody, period, the end, if I did, terrible things would befall me. Like literally, I would collapse entirely and it wouldn't be good. And I've seen this happen with people around me. And it wouldn't be a good thing. Like I have no problem stopping. I have no problem going away. I have no problem rebooting. If I didn't, again, have a level of responsibility with this work, terrible things would befall me. And anybody who is doing, who has any kind of integrity has to have source as their master, not anything else. And source, pure source, period, the end, through my highest innate intelligence is my master. So, slight tangent, but let me get back to talking about the importance of, and I'm very, very impassioned about clarifying who you are relentlessly, like going full stop, because it gets so much better. And there are waves and there are pulses and there are integration periods, and you will have expansion, you will have contraction, you'll be confused, you might project, you won't handle things well, you'll create a life even in an awakened state that you don't love, and all of it is perfect. There are no wrong decisions, there is only evolution. So nervous system resonance and identity rewrites. What happens when your name is out of resonance? You will start to feel disidentification. There will be dissonance. You kind of perform a self your system doesn't recognize. You'll see and feel yourself in a performance state of being. Names are not neutral, okay? They carry codes, they carry sounds, they carry cultural frequencies. They even carry ancestral contracts. So some names soften you, Others will constrain you. Some names are protective, let's say armor, that you outgrow. And some names will activate a level of cellular recognition that reorganizes your entire field. So I had to actually do karmic cleansing around my name. I hated my original name. And I didn't think I chose it. It didn't seem like it fit. And then when Talie came around, it was kind of like a bit of an armor I got to wear that felt cooler, edgier, and I could take it with me wherever I went. People responded really well to it, and I could kind of protect myself with it a little bit. But it also fit me better than Natalie. So it wasn't until, let's say, many years later, like I'm talking a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, that I did a huge karmic kind of name cleansing and softened around it and ended up liking it and just didn't care who called me whatever. And recently, with my lineage, they had always been in front of me. So a lot of times when I was working on you guys, or we were working in the field together, in the multiple fields together, there was lineages that would be in different places. Either some of them would be behind you. With everyone I worked with, they were all behind them. Some of them were on the side, which meant that you were close to transitioning beyond their influence. And I think I said they were all in front of you, behind you, but I meant in front of you. So our lineage, when working again with all of you, it would be you'd be looking at your lineage in front of you. So you had a lot to move through. As much as they were behind you, they were also in front of you, meaning you were still working. Okay, they were kind of rooting for you, but they had all of this baggage, and they were kind of coming up one by one. This is just like a visual, saying, how about this one? Take this pattern, fix this pattern, do this pattern, because you're the latest rendition of your family lineage, okay, and all of their data. So imagine going through storage unit after storage unit and like file after file and paper after paper and kind of getting a handle on what the patterns are. Now, that may sound like a lot and like you have endless levels of work to do. But trust me, eventually, you don't even have to open up the storage units. You'll just understand what's in them, and it's an instant collapse. So you collapse a tremendous amount of patterns in group work because we create so much momentum together. And then you can get really surgical in the individual sessions with me. So I say all of that because recently for myself, my entire lineage went behind me. And again, it depends on the visual that you get. Sometimes it's in front of other people because they need to be able to see the work that they're doing. The people come in on a side, like let's say a certain masculine would come in on the right side, or a certain feminine from your line would come in on their left side. But my entire lineage from eternity to eternity went behind me. And I was like, whoa, I have not seen that before. That is kind of crazy. And then almost instantly, my relationships with my family changed. The way that they saw me, how I was triggered by them, how I wasn't triggered by them, things that used to piss me off absolutely had no resonance in my field whatsoever. There had been a huge collapse of emotional entanglement and emotional charge from me being able just to get and keep going, right? Just keep doing the work that I'm doing with all of us together, right? Between what I'm offering and what I'm doing on my own, because I'm working on myself every day. And it's what I teach. Try to help you guys learn how to do this. Eventually, you'll know how to transmute your own patterns, and then you'll get better at understanding where you are in space-time, and you'll be able to collapse a lot of shit, and it's great. It's incredibly instructive and helpful, and if I do nothing else, will always be grateful for the fact that I have this level of access to myself, which is why I'm looking at helping you guys gain similar status within yourself. Everyone moved behind me, and I've been able to have like a very beautiful relationship with my family, despite the fact that none of them take a single session. None of them drop into the podcast. None of them take anything. And I used to be pissed about it, like recently. And that's because I was right up against that threshold of collapsing all of it. And now I just don't even care. Like, the information's there, the access is there. If you guys want to change. If you don't, muzzle. So after that, my soul name came in. And I will share more about that in a bit because it's a very personal story and it's something that I take very seriously. And I'm very honored that it did come up for me. And it's something that will require tremendous shifts for Superfreq and myself. And it's all just very wonderful. And I found myself softened and in a tremendous amount of gratitude, and more is still being revealed to me. So, but names carry cultural sounds. They carry frequencies and ancestral contracts. And I recently had, I wouldn't say recently, but let's say within the last 6 months, noticed a former mentor, and I never check in on anybody, had dropped their last name. And instantly it came to me, I was like, oh man, finally moving through all that karmic just heaviness. And so much is attached to a last name. And when you can actually energetically transcend it, you will have gifts. You will be betrothed, almost more knowledge about who you are at soul level. And I didn't even know that was coming for me. Literally, I had no idea. And so it is, and which means that there's more information that's still, again, unraveling. But some names will soften you. They'll activate you. They'll constrain you. And so finding your name and remembering your field is a question that I got actually recently. Like, how do I know? How do I figure out what my soul name is? And it came in through the Healer's Hub. And my best answer is you don't. You let it find you. And you do that through, sometimes you can just think about syllables or names in general that cause kind of a visceral reaction in your body, or languages that you love, that you're drawn to, or tones that kind of magnetize you for no logical reason. Like maybe you just love listening to a certain bowl, okay? Like those singing bowls, or you do like sound healings and stuff, and there's a certain tone, like pay attention to that. Or dream sequences, when someone calls you by a name that doesn't necessarily exist. Maybe a nickname comes in from a loved one that you kind of like, or let's say you've taken your partner's last name and you love it and you have a visceral reaction in your body, or things of this nature. So it's not about reinvention, although a lot of people want to change their name. And I actually, now that I remember going to see somebody who was helping me hone animal communication. This was many years ago, 15 years ago. And she goes, oh yeah, my name is, I don't even remember her name, but her real name, but I remember that she had changed her name and she went by Sage moving forward. And I said, oh wow, you just changed it? And she goes, oh yeah, legally the whole thing. I never connected with it, and I made the choice to change it, and I've just been so much happier. And I thought that was kind of curious back then. And now that I'm kind of streaming this through me, this particular podcast, that story just came up, and I go, wow, it's kind of been in my field for like a while. Or why certain names, when you do meet an animal, for example, a name will just come to you. That is kind of what will happen. You will be in a meditation and there will just be something that emerges. You will be presented. You'll just catch this wave, and that you will feel so deeply still in your body, so present, so still, that you will know that it is for you, and there will be zero doubt. So it's not about reinvention, although that can be 100% part of your process. Cut your hair, change your hair, move, take a new name, whatever. Like just play with it, right? But it's really about resonance restoration. So your nervous system knows the difference. That's what I'm talking about, that stillness. It will hold you in such a place of presence. You will feel literally like that moment of presence lasted the just infinite amount of time. It'll draw you so close to yourself. And I was like, whoa, that is pretty awesome. If I can help anyone experience just a moment of that stillness for a second, like that peace and that knowledge within yourself, I sure hope that I can, because it's pretty euphoric and pretty intoxicating. You definitely want more of it. So let me give you a couple of questions. Kind of here's your field prompt, okay? What name does your body respond to like it's being seen beyond time? What sound bypasses intellect and lands directly into your chest? Who do you become when no one is naming you at all? Okay, so to recap, the quantum psychosomatic view of what's in a name. Your soul name is less a label and more a frequency pattern. It serves as the organizing intelligence of your field. It's the original resonance around which your nervous system, archetypal blueprint, and identity structure organizes. You may come into a life with a given name that either echoes, distorts, or veils that original frequency. Sometimes people intuitively rename themselves or feel more like a nickname, title, or foreign name because it activates a deeper resonance with that core frequency. In esoteric traditions, from Gnosticism, Kabbalah, Sufi mysticism, a soul has a true name, a vibrational key known in higher realms, often unpronounceable or ineffable in human tongue. Okay, this name is not always accessible through intellect, but can be felt, remembered, or revealed through deep spiritual practice, dream sequencing, initiatory moments, or altered states. You can access this stuff. But the name is not static. It is a harmonic. It's a resonant cluster that evolves as the soul evolves. And it's at its core, it stays recognizable and will stabilize you kind of ongoing. And we're looking to have that revealed to us, but not all people have a soul name. So in energetic field work, we will encounter names or sigils or signals. Okay, they will emerge during frequency encoded sessions. So I'll say this because many of you will start moving into this. You'll start getting more recognition of like glyphs. You will see light language at times, or in meditations. Let's say if you re-listen to some meditations from the shop, or you have taken classes and you're re-listening to the courses, you might actually experience or see timelines changing, like those 80s reels when you used to watch things on a projector and they would go really fast. You might see timelines changing or collapsing, or you'll see certain glyphs or symbols. And those symbols, that's part of your soul's architecture, and it functions like a grid. So that signals to the universe through sound, harmonic, and images and light. Okay, that light has information, holds information. It signals to ongoing ontological systems, the systems of the universe, who you are and your clarity, and so on and so forth. So does everybody have a soul name? My answer to this directly is no. Not every soul has a name in the linguistic sense. But yes, every soul has a frequency identity that functions like a name, but more as field intelligence, not verbal syntax per se. And sometimes your human name aligns perfectly. Other times it will feel like distortion, and it will prompt you to kind of rename or create a reclamation. And most people try to create the reclamation through physical change, not a name change, because that kind of comes with a lot. But if you're drawn to discovering or remembering your soul name, again, pay attention to the areas that you're drawn to right now, or certain languages that you're drawn to right now, or that you know that there feels like a name change coming for you. You're just not sure what that is, and just stay curious about what emerges for you. So I'm trying to think if I want to cover anything else. So again, just remember that your soul name is a resonance identifier, and it emerges when your system stabilizes around more of your true harmonic frequency. I will say this briefly, that your name came from a lineage, but it also came from its memory. And that memory may not be yours. An inherited name, first, last, middle, will carry generational trauma contracts, bloodline agreements, cultural expectations, survival codes, frequency distortions shaped by patriarchal, colonial, or religious systems. That was the case with me. And it will feel like a mismatch between your current field and the blueprint your oversoul is actually here to live. So your name, again, is not just an identity, it's a carrier wave. And what we're trying to do is get everything frequency, field, and form to speak the same language and be fluent in the dialect of source. So re-listen to this podcast, re-listen to the questions that I asked, and see what comes up for you. Specifically right now with what are you watching? Like, what shows are you interested in? When are they where are they based? What time frame? What memories have you had recently? What dreams have you had recently? What awarenesses have you had? What location are you drawn to? If you are, very, very online, what content are you consuming? What language specifically are you drawn to? Latin-based, Arabic-based languages, Nordic languages? If it's neither, totally fine. Of the things that I listed, generational trauma contracts, bloodline agreements, cultural expectations, survival codes, frequency distortions shaped by patriarchal, colonial, or religious systems, which one of those do you feel you resonate with the most within your first, middle, and last name? And if you have a second, a third, or fourth behind that name, is that something that you want to continue to carry forward? All right, you guys, I will leave you with those questions, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care.